Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for the 36th meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. Would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decisions, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use it in our directives for the common good and for thy honor and glory. Amen. And may I ask that you remain standing? Recently, we did have one of our friends, Larry Green, pass. If we could just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino.
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. Okay, and before we roll into our public comment portion, I would like to read into the record some points of our friend Larry Green. Larry Green of Paynesville died suddenly on September 18th at the age of 67. In 1978, he began service with the Lake County Sheriff's Office as a deputy. For over 26 years, he rose through the ranks to both lieutenant and SWAT commander. He retired in 2004 and began working as the Lake County Emergency Management Agency Director. Larry also served and chaired the Board of Managers for the Lake County YMCA. He retired from his post as EMA Director on January 19th of 2020. Larry was also a Lakeland Community College Hall of Fame inductee, an honor we both share, and he was quite proud of. Larry was also instrumental in the county's passage of the 2020 FEMA national level exercise. This was the first ever virtual exercise, validating the process towards achieving a culture of preparedness in the county. It was lauded as a perfect exercise. As most of you know, I like to talk about how Lake County adopts best practices and establishes best practices. Larry Green exemplified that. He was a fine man, a good friend. I knew Larry back when I first started working for the county as a young, fresh college grad wet behind the ears. He was quick to bust my chops and toughen me up, things which have served me well throughout my life and my career. He's a good man. Gentlemen, do you have anything you'd care to add?
Mr. President, thank you for those comments and for the remembrance in moment of silence for Larry. I just want to say that, people like Larry don't come around too often. And I didn't know Larry prior to becoming a commissioner, but I got to know him very quickly. And he took very seriously making sure that the commissioners, in our case, 2 new commissioners that came on board, understood what our role was in safety for the community here, and particularly at the EOC. But Larry was just an easy guy to work with. He was communicative. He just never seemed to get flustered. And he just had a fabulous personality. And we all know that, as Commissioner Hammercheck just mentioned, that he just only recently decided to retire. And, we really had hoped that he would enjoy his retirement for a long time. And it's disappointing that he's unable to do that, certainly. But a guy like him just comes around very rarely. And we were fortunate to have him for the time that we did have him. We look forward to expressing our thoughts about Larry with his family or to his family tomorrow at the service. But the county is less for not having Larry Green with us, and he will be sorely missed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ron, care to add anything?
Yeah, I did not know Larry well. As you know, I'm the newest member of the board. But I knew in hearing about him from others that he had been a man who was a man dedicated to public service, that his life was all about making other people's lives better. And just as Commissioner Serino said, people like him, like that, don't come around often. And we need more. We need a lot more folks whose life is focused on making other people's lives better. So we certainly mourn Larry's passing and hope that we can do as well in public service, in serving others as Larry did. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. On a lighter note, Dan Maxon, we have curator and trustee for the Fairport Lighthouse and Marine Museum. We have, if you want to come on up, we've got a certificate of recognition. Madam Clerk, did you want to read the whole thing?
Sure, Commissioner.
Little inside baseball there.
Certificate of Recognition celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Fairport Harbor Historical Society. Whereas this recognition is presented in commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the Fairport Harbor Historical Society, and whereas organized on March 2nd, 1945, with 150 founding members, the society was up and running, and by March 17th, 1945, the Fairport Harbor Historical Society was formally incorporated under Ohio law. The Society is an all-volunteer organization that operates and maintains the Marine Museum, founded in 1945, and nearly 150-year-old lighthouse. Whereas the Fairport Harbor Historical Society is devoted to preserving and perpetuating the historic tradition of Fairport Harbor and the Great Lakes area. The museum houses a number of artifacts pertaining to life on the Great Lakes and other maritime exhibits. The Society published books and compiled images of the rich maritime history featuring historical landmarks, the people, the fishermen, shipbuilders, and railroad workers who built one of the most picturesque harbor towns on the Lake Erie shores. Fairport Harbor was once a gateway to the Western Reserve, welcoming more ships to its shores than Cleveland. These ships brought immigrants who saw their harbor's lighthouse as a beacon for freedom, hope, and opportunity. The Fairport Harbor Historical Society maintains the history, culture, and spirit that has been successfully preserved for so many years and will be reflected upon with great pride. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Commissioners in and for Lake County, Ohio, commends the Fairport Harbor Historical Society on achieving this historic 75-year milestone, and we extend sincere wishes to all the citizens, volunteers, and leaders continuing to sustain its legacy by creating and preserving wonderful memories for many generations to come.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. I must say, at your recent event, it was very encouraging to see the number of participants and all the people that have stood by, and it was really encouraging to see the long history of servants, people with servants' hearts that have kept this moving forward, and it's a great part of Lake County's history. So, as I said the other day, it's an example of everything from a great lake to a grand river all coming together right there in Fairport. So would
you like to make any comments? If you step up to the podium.
Right beside you there.
You can pull your mask down for your comments if you like.
Yes, thank you very much for attending last Saturday evening. It is an honor to be here to kind of share with the past members, the current members, and the future members who have chosen to commit their times to such a worthy effort in an iconic lighthouse in Lake County. So for all the people before me and to those that come after me for your random acts of kindness, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. If I may, we can present this to you.
Thank you, Kathy, for the heavy lifting.
You're welcome.
And yes, you did read all of it.
I did. I did, but I
With
was
the lovely commemorative cardboard box custom carrier. Guess we're finding out some photos. Good heavens. Yes, we are.
Yeah, they're all standing here, so.
Very delighted.
Okay, you ready? Thank you. Chad?
Yay.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Oh, but how are we gonna do that? Chad, I gotta do these new rules. So. It's all right. We're both. Yeah.
Okay, and with that, that moves us on to our first public comment portion of our meeting. If there's anyone from the audience who wishes to address the board at this time, please rise, approach the podium, give your name and address for the records. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Marcy Ferguson, and I live at 66 Stockwell, Painesville, Ohio. Okay, so I am Marcy Ferguson, the founder of Black Lives Matter Lake County. I am on the board of United Way. I am on the board of the NAACP. I am on the Begin the Conversations Committee. I am the advisor to the Youth Council for the NAACP, and I also manage a girls group called Girls of the Round Table. I want to come here today to talk about what BLM is not. We are not a stand against police officers. I'm actually personal friends with Chief Waterman. I know Chief Ice now. I'm really good friends with Chief Schultz. We are not a stand against all lives. We are here to say that Black lives are under assault, not just from police brutality, but systemic and structural racism and oppression. I am here today to address the comments that I heard from Commissioner Serino last week on a video of your commissioners meeting. It was I felt disrespected. The reason saying is because I actually know all of you. And I'm gonna start with Commissioner Young. When you ran for office, I supported you with my own supporters because I've run in this community twice. I've run for city council. I talked to you. You talked to me about your wife being African American and your kids being biracial. I talked to my community about supporting Republicans and Democrats, doing what is in the best interest of people, not just Black people. Commissioner Hammercheck, you and I have a very extensive relationship. I am very disappointed that when BLM started, I sent you our action plan. Never got a response. Last week, you said you would follow up to talk about it. Last week, I sent you the video and said how I was very disturbed by it, and there's still no response. We have a history of different projects sitting on committees that I don't think were followed through in the African American community, and I told you this and how I was expressing my pain through our text messages just last week or earlier this week. Commissioner Serino, when you ran for office, you came to the NAACP and talked to us. You made a compelling argument, and as I indicated, I'm personal friends with Republicans and Democrats on both sides. So I had no problem with supporting you. I put yard signs out for you. I put flyers out for you. I asked my voters to support you. And since then, when you were president, it was an assault to me on the NAACP because you were constantly making these comments of what our integrity was. But when you wanted votes, you had no problem talking to us. So when you felt that our integrity was wrong, why didn't you come back and speak to us then? Now, you guys know me, or if you don't know me, it's easy to find out about me. You know my character personally. If you felt there was an issue with the Black Lives Matter movement, I don't care about national. We're talking about in your own backyard. I did 8 weeks of open comments for our organization, and I didn't see one face there. I didn't see you guys come out and talk to us. Our action plan is on our website, what we're doing. I even sat with Leon Bruno back there to talk about some of the things that I would like to see. And it's just sad that you'll make a comment that is basically calling us bad Blacks. That is the narrative of that comment around this country. You don't think that, but it is. It is, and we're not the bad blacks. BLM is not the bad blacks. I've led marches and protests in this community that have not been explosive, that have been very, very peaceful, talking about the things that we need. And I don't think that it's fair that you guys continue to push a narrative that is national instead of talking about the changes going on in your own backyard. We have the opportunity to be the model for the state of Ohio. We are big enough and we are small enough. So why don't you partner with us instead of saying things like BLM is out against the police? That's not true. So I also want to point out that it seems to be the narrative of the Republican Party, and I'm absolutely taken aback by that because I'm personal friends with Colleen O'Toole. I'm personal friends with Wanda Jones, who are both Republicans. I vote for the person, not for a party. And I would ask you guys to stop doing that to BLM. Come talk to the person instead of talking about some narrative of some organization of somebody who you can't even meet. You have the opportunity to talk to me at any time of the day, but you have not engaged me at all. And I think that it's very sad that we do so. So in closure, I want to say Lake County is made up of 5% of black Americans. You guys represent not just white men, but all of Lake County. So you should consider that when you're making comments instead of saying things that could be super offensive to us. It seems to me that the Republican Party doesn't care about black people. And that is my personal opinion, and I'm very embedded in politics. I've reached out to the larger party. I know that all of you guys sit here are Republican, and the continuation of not reaching out to me, not talking to me, makes me feel that way. I want to talk about, maybe you don't believe in systemic racism, but there have been projects. NAACP wanted to get money for community development block grant. We had the youth council. You have things that are supposed to be going into the community, yet nobody's talking to this black community about how we help them. And these programs, these opportunities, these connections, these networks, they never went through. So what happened? If there is no structural racism here, then why am I the only uncomfortable body in this room? Why do I feel every pair of eyes staring at me? Why is there no black people? You guys need to think about that. Look at your administrations. Look at administrations throughout Lake County. And I'm tired of hearing the narrative that educated people don't exist. I have a master's and a bachelor's from this community, from Lake Erie College, and I'd put my resume against anyone's. There are some real systemic problems going on in this community, and rather than making these narrative and these rhetoric comments, come talk to us. Let's make plans. And I say this all the time. Look me up. Look at my videos. Anybody that's willing to talk to me, I'm there to do it. I'm also here to make plans and actions and stop talking and stop being a part of whatever issues that we have going on in the community, the country. They're very divisive. We don't have to do that here in Lake County. We do have the opportunity, as I stated, to be the model for this state of Ohio. And so I implore all of you after today to reach out and maybe start making those connections and those networks and plans of action, because it's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, do we have anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the board at this time? Jason, do we have any electronic questions from the public? County Administrator indicating none. Thank you, sir. Okay, this moves on to our resolutions. Madam Clerk?
In the engineer's office, resolution authorizing change order number 1, resurfacing various roads with chip seal project with Specialized Construction Incorporated, decreasing the amount by $41,054.10, LCE project number 2020-001.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution transferring appropriations within Lake County Department of Utilities Sewer Operating Fund.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Sewer Operating Fund and Project Fund 364S, Glyco 2 Force Main Replacement.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Water Operating Fund and Water Project Fund 595, Green Drive Waterline Replacement Project 423W.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution approving plan specifications and estimates of cost in the amount of $283,115 for 7th Street Sanitary Rehab Project number 416S and advertising for bids for the same, bid opening October 21st, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of an engineering agreement with Burgess and Knightbull Incorporated for Lakeshore Boulevard Trunk Sewer Lining Improvements Project 438S for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution to delete a water sum certified to the Lake County Auditor.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution providing for $1,320,000 note renewal for the Lake County Department of Utilities Project 408S.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Discussion, did you want to chime in on that one? That's a,
Sure. So this is part of our renewal of one of our notes, i.e. loan debt. Specifically, this is our digester project that's in construction at the GLK Manor wastewater treatment plant. So with us renewing that, we have 4 more years left in the term to pay off that.
You want to mention the second one, the next one, just while you're talking?
Sure.
If you don't
No
mind.
problem.
please do. Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
No, quite all right.
So the second one is similar. It's also a note renewal. It's also in wastewater. This was for the trunk sewer that we already installed through the Menor Marsh as a new sewer. That was also financed, and that one's been financed a little further in terms of a 7-year term. So we're renewing that also.
And by using notes, we're taking full advantage of the low interest and basically using best business practices. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, certainly. We try to leverage our funds with a combination of debt and cash payments.
Excellent.
Good job.
Well done. Further discussion?
Nope.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution providing for $2,625,000 note renewal for the Lake County Department of Utilities Project 336S.
Move to adopt?
Second.
And discussion, just make a note for the reasons previously stated.
This one's a little bit different. Try to summarize it. A couple years back, we kind of had some discussions about helping out some of the businesses in terms of their capacity fee when they come in as new businesses. Some of those capacity fees can be fairly large. So this is an installment plan that we developed with the board.
Is he on the wrong one?
I think
Yeah,
that's
we're-
the next
sorry.
resolution. That's
We're on
okay.
the second one
Skipped
that
too
you
far.
talked
That's eager, though. I like that.
I thought something
I'm
sounded
sorry,
funny.
stop me.
That's okay. We're doing good.
You're still in the Menor Marsh one?
Yes, which
Yes.
again, that was
I
a,
apologize.
You already explained
yeah,
that.
so again, reasons previously stated, awesome. But yep, you're queued up for the next one, though.
We need,
We'll call that
I
spoilers.
got too many papers.
Too
here.
many notes in front of you.
we need a roll call on this one.
And if you would, Madam Clerk, I think we're done with our discussion.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution allowing for participation in the tap-in capacity fee installment payment plan for tap-in capacity fees for parcel 20A6F150.
Move to adopt.
Second?
And under discussion, I have this sneaking suspicion you've got something to add to this.
All right, I'll try a different, I'll try a different speech.
No.
This is for a new business in Chillicothe Road in Kirtland. That's, so we're financing their capacity fee over 5 years to assist them with some of those larger payments and setting up a payment plan for them.
And that was, Mr. President, that was something that we adopted as a policy in utilities a couple of years ago.
Yes, sir.
In order to facilitate cash flow issues for developers as an incentive for them to make developments instead of having to come up with all this cash for tap-in fees up front.
Eases their entry into
Yeah.
the business. And
We end up, it doesn't really cost the county anything because they're covering the cost of the financing that we're doing. But it's also a nice incentive for those doing larger developments.
right, and attract
Great,
new
okay.
businesses.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Indeed, and I'll just ask some of the backstory is also, I'm sure they're taking advantage of the new policy as far as capacity? I'm assuming, sized by meter, not by EPA standards per se.
Right, this has all been based on our recent change in regulations.
So again, another incentive for developers to be able to take advantage of actuals rather than some theoretical formula. So very good, thank you. Further discussion?
None?
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution authorizing execution of agreements between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and various entities and organizations for the fiscal year 2020 Community Development Block Grant Funds.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion. Rhea, did you want to chime in on that?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this resolution allows us to move forward with the fiscal year 2020 projects and programs. And we did receive the annual allocation a few months early this year, so that's good news for our construction projects. We can still move forward with some of those. The weather's still nice. And also our projects dealing with the nonprofits, which are extra busy. I think it'll be helpful with that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Rhea.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of agreements between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and various entities and organizations for the fiscal year 2020 Home Investment Partnership Program funds.
Move to adopt?
Second.
And discussion. Marion?
These are the ones that are ready to go, primarily tenant-based rental assistance through Lifeline, Extended Housing, and Fair Housing Resource Center. A combination of either placement or subsidy for needy populations. And then also, due to the COVID crisis, there was a number of waivers issued by HUD allowing additional funds to be expended for administration. So we could also tack on and help Fair Housing Resource Center and Lifeline with some administrative costs of serving this population. Some of the other things that are approved but not on this resolution are construction projects that once we have a specific address, we can move forward.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
None?
Very good. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution declaring certain Lake County property motor vehicles, which titles are attached, surplus or obsolete and not needed for the use for which it was acquired, and authorizing a public internet auction for the sale of surplus Lake County personal property according to Section 307.12 of the Ohio Revised Code and authorizing advertising for the same.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the Lake County Auditor.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion. Mike, did you want to chime in on this? Or? Sure. Mike Matus is our Budget Finance Director. An all-around good guy.
Thanks, Commissioners. If you recall, we passed a tax budget back in July, and this is the next step to show that in July we passed a tax budget to show the need for the levies. What this does is shows what the rates are for the upcoming levies, and it just was determined by a Budget Commission. No change from what it was last year. 1.0 mils for the general fund. Child welfare is 1.1 mils. Board of Developmental Disabilities 4.9, AMS Board 1.6, Narcotics 0.3, Crime Lab 0.7, and the Senior Citizens Levy is 0.8. So,
Great.
And just for matter of record, the county continues to voluntarily not collect 1.1 mils?
correct. That was, if you recall back prior, we actually raised the sales tax in conjunction with that. They reduced the inside millage from 2.1 to 1.0 mils.
Very good. Just want to make that point that we're continuing that practice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
None?
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $1,350,650.27.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $1,210,012.34.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various non-general fund accounts.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution transferring appropriations within various non-general fund accounts.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes. Okay, this brings us to our departmental reports portion of our meeting. Let's see, I think we're going to go with our county administrator, Jason Boyd.
Morning.
I just suddenly realized I jumped right over top of utilities. How I missed you sitting there. You did such a great...
It threw me off guard too.
Suddenly.
Well, I threw him off earlier.
Gary, is there anything you'd like me to say? Thank you, Commissioner. I'll be brief. Number one, I want to echo the Commissioner's comments about Larry. I probably speak for most everyone in the room. I know the sheriff and his team and Mike all worked with Larry in the trenches. And as a young administrator in 2012, Larry was always just a friend. And when I would get a text from him, they always read the same, JB, time for a quick chat. And probably 80% of those had nothing to do about work. And I always appreciated that about Larry. So I'm going to miss him. On that tone, the county did a hell of a job last week at the EOC under Joe Busher's leadership in successfully completing the first ever virtual evaluated exercise for a nuke plant in the United States. The technology we invested with the support of First Energy and the assistance of many partners, of which weren't in the room because we had to do virtual activities due to COVID, it was pretty impressive. I'll get more information, and a press release will be forthcoming with some of the specifics and how well we did. But I've heard the word perfect, flawless, and a bunch of other very good terms being thrown around about how Lake County did, and it's not surprising because we are always prepared. And I want to throw my hats off to Joe Busher and his team, Jerome Barclay at the EOC, Captain Warner under the Sheriff's Office, and all the support staff behind the scenes who really stepped up in a very difficult time. A lot of our credit in the drill was in part to our performance the past 6 months and how we've responded to COVID in the county, and how Joe, our first responders, have acted and communicated throughout that event, and that was witnessed by the regulatory agencies in the United States. So more forthcoming, but I wanted to let you know how proud I am of all of our partners in the county, and the citizens should rest assured we're in really good shape. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Gary, utilities. Now he's going to say no report, but we'll have. What you got there?
I just have one item as a brief report.
Thank you.
We have a photo here to show you. The topic is an update on the Volkswagen grant that we received through the diesel grant, to be more specific. We've received our first piece of equipment through that grant, and this is a picture of it. As you can see, it's not a van, it's not a pickup truck, it's not a passenger vehicle. It's certainly a large specialized piece of equipment that we use in the wastewater. We use that primarily to maintain the sewers and clean out some of our facilities, and has a multi-purposes in terms of its capacity. So we have a specialized crew that operates that within the utilities department, and I just want to provide that update that we've received that, and we'll work through the process with the grant in terms of the paperwork side and the financing side.
So it's a big old vac truck so we don't have to be going outside and bringing in outside contractors?
Well, it replaces one that we've had was about 15 years old, so this is certainly an upgrade over what we had, and we appreciate everybody's efforts in getting us that grant, and this is one result of it. We still have about another $500,000 in the grant that we've already applied for and been approved. We just got to procure that stuff over time, so this was the first item that was delivered.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for the update.
What's the price tag on that?
That is a $425,000 piece of equipment.
All right.
Well done, thank you. Okay, and finance. Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Okay, indicating no. And Madam Clerk.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that the next commissioners meeting is going to be Thursday, October 1st at 10 o'clock a.m. here in Chambers. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And legal.
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Okay, this brings us to our old business portion of the meeting. Do we have any old business to come before the board? No? Okay, new business. Do we have any new business to come before the board? Sir?
Yes, Mr. President, just a quick comment. Last week I made some comments asking for everybody to keep in their prayers the two sheriff's deputies that were shot in L.A. While sitting in their cruiser. And I mentioned in my comments that the rhetoric, the anti-police rhetoric, is responsible for this. And those who are perpetrating that rhetoric, whoever they are, whatever organizations they're with, need to take responsibility, and they need to stop that rhetoric. We can find solutions to our problems without having to go into anti-police rhetoric, which obviously is proving to be very dangerous. And here we are again a week later, and now we have two officers shot in Louisville last night. And I understand the perpetrator has been caught, but again, this is the anti-police rhetoric, the anti-law enforcement rhetoric that has been generalized across the board to all law enforcement, not just to those who are perpetrating inappropriate behavior. And this rhetoric and the violence that follows from it is not going to solve any of our problems. And I just ask that we all keep these, the families and the two officers who were shot last night in our prayers as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Indeed. Commissioner Young? Okay. I will give a quick update. County Commissioner Association. We've been quite busy. It's a bit of a challenge sometimes to get all these different committees organized and moving things along, but our Jobs, Economic Development, and Infrastructure Committee, the JEDI, I love that name, by the way. Yeah, considering we had cemetery, roads, and parks before, but that's something else. We've got a few highlights here under workforce development. We added some language. In addition, we put, we got county government in Ohio has played a critical role in local economic development initiatives and implementing workforce programs aimed at, we added this language, retaining, attracting, and growing businesses, as well as helping residents obtain, maintain, or improve their employment. So we're trying to be reflective of the needs. Speaking of reflective, under that same category, we added economic disruptions like the COVID-19 pandemic present tremendous challenges to local businesses and workers. The state should collaborate with counties to allow locally designated responses funded with flexible response funds. So you've probably heard us many times talk about local control. We've also asked that the commissioners under the again, the commissioners caution against a one-size-fits-all approach to workforce development policy in Ohio. We have also added to our platform the request that school representatives be included, along with educate language reflecting educational leaders should be included on the committee. Let's see, we also have under that same heading of state partnerships, in order for counties to be responsive to local opportunities and challenges, readily available and robust business data, including timely unemployment claims and layoffs, should be available for all economic and workforce development partners. The state should focus efforts on providing state data that will allow counties to anticipate and meet emerging needs. We also added under the Jobs Ohio and Business Development, vibrant community programs, this is all added language, vibrant community programs which promote catalytic development projects in distressed communities, and the inclusion of grant programs which target minority-owned businesses are helpful steps. And again, I could go on. There's several other points of interest. We continue to keep the language in there under energy, supporting such sources as nuclear and clean coal technology. That language remained unchanged. And there was some also airport funding and air quality. We were maintaining language that was supportive of that. So we also had a spirited discussion at the Metropolitan level committee. One of the things that I will say I emphasized in regards to some guidance about I'm going to call it civilian leadership telling law enforcement how to do their jobs. I strongly suggested that civilian leadership should take pause and perhaps consider walking a mile in another person's shoes before they start telling them how to do their job. I encouraged my fellow county commissioners on that committee to take the time to do ride-alongs and to spend time with the very people that they're trying to dictate how to do their jobs, up to and including sitting back at the station and participating in watching how reports are even formed, because the memorialization and documentation of activities are critical in order to properly reflect overall activities. I've been, in my career, I have observed civilian leadership has a propensity to make rules about things that they know absolutely nothing about, and it does tend to complicate things. So I think it was fair to say that my commissioner colleagues took pause at that moment and did accept that, gee, maybe they should consider getting some education themselves before they start mandating education of those subordinate to them. With that, do we have any other new business to come before the board?
Yes, Mr. President, just one quick thing, and I just, as an FYI, it was the young lady who was in here earlier, Marcita Ferguson. It's been reported to me that she was a speaker this morning at a United Way women's conference and made partisan comments and recommendations for voting, which a nonprofit organization, in my view, should not be doing. If that report is true, and I will be looking at that, I will be reporting that to the proper authorities, because in our county we don't want our not-for-profit organizations that do a lot of work in the community engaging in partisan activities. So we will be looking at that to see if that is true, and if it is true, that we will be asking authorities, the proper authorities, to look into it. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Young?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you, Mr. President, that your comment, I happened to be present at that when you made those comments. And I think that's extremely wise and revolutionary. Many times, having been in the legislature for a number of years, elected officials do take actions on issues that they have absolutely no knowledge about. They just feel that it's the right thing to do, never having even talked to the folks that have to do the job or interact with on a daily basis with the public in that capacity. So I think you were, in that example, you were talking about specifically police officers that are out on the job, in the car, patrolling our streets, keeping us safe. And for us to tell them specifically and in detail how they should conduct their business without ever having really interacted with them or been with them while they were functioning, while they were doing the job, is infantile. So I thought your comments were well taken, very wise, and I look forward to following up with you to make sure that they follow that advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your sentiments. Okay, this brings us now to our second public comment portion. I believe Sheriff Leombrono, did you wish to add anything to the discussion today? Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning,
I
sir.
really didn't have any prepared comments, but a few things came to mind while I was sitting here listening to things going on. First of all, we are saddened at the passing of Larry Green, and he made a big difference at the Lake County Sheriff's Office. In today's climate, when you look at people talking about police reform and professionalism, brings to mind that people like Lieutenant Green, Commander Green, when he was head of the SWAT team, when he was in charge of the road patrol, pushed for professionalism 30 years ago and really made an impact. And there's so many individuals that work in the law enforcement community that do that. They bring a lot of ideas, and Larry made a huge difference in terms of the formation of many people that work at the Lake County Sheriff's Office today, in terms of their thinking, in terms of professionalism, where they'd like to take things. There's a lot of people that work for the Lake County Sheriff's Office that work alongside of me that bring great ideas, and they're looking to make a difference in the community in terms of advancing our professionalism, our education, serving the community better and looking at ways to do that better. And they make a difference every day. There are so many pressures today with the media bringing a lot in terms of this heated rhetoric, and there are officers being shot. And I know that law enforcement here in Lake County, a lot of those police officers who are out there doing it every day, who are in a cruiser, making a traffic stop, responding to domestic violence call or an assault call, have that in the back of their mind. One of the biggest differences here in Lake County is they really appreciate the support of our citizens. Our citizens have been very supportive of Lake County law enforcement. And whether they know it or not, it makes a huge difference in those ladies and gentlemen showing up every day to do their job. It's a difficult job. Listen, it's a job they love. It's something they've always wanted to do, but they do very much appreciate that support. And I can speak in terms of the Lake County chiefs, would say that universally, not just at the sheriff's office, Wickliffe, Willoughby, Perry Village, you name the place, those chiefs very much appreciate it. And I just want citizens to know that you have excellent police chiefs throughout Lake County who do a phenomenal job every day. And a lot of the concerns that people have in terms of law enforcement response, maybe in larger cities or in other sections of the country, those chiefs are meeting those needs today. And I just want the county to be aware of the phenomenal leadership that exists in every law enforcement community, the justice community, I believe, here in Lake County, that makes this a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate those wise words. Okay, do we have anyone else from the public who wishes to address the board at this time? Okay, Jason, do we have any electronic? Indicating none. Okay. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn same?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please. Oh,
Commissioner-
sir, did you? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Madam Clerk, roll call,
You're just
please.
getting up to
That's
leave.
okay. Didn't realize you were getting on your starting block, sir. Didn't want to pull the trigger on the adjournment vote.
Okay,
Madam
roll
Clerk,
call.
my apologies. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.